Hey YouTube, this is VSG Steve with my week 39 update, and for those new to the channel, thanks for joining us. I had VSG surgery in June 2016, and my starting weight at that stage, my highest weight was 155.5 kilos, and my current weight this week was 96.8 kilos, or 213.4 pounds. Means I've lost 58.7 kilos, or 129.6 pounds, or 47.2 kilos since surgery, and 104.1 pounds since surgery, and I had a 2.8 kilo loss, or a 6.2 pound loss. Now, those figures mean absolutely jack to me at the moment, because for people who are just joining us, one of my big goal when I first had surgery was I never actually set a weight goal. And I've talked about weight a couple of times in the sense of what I was looking, but I never actually wanted to set a weight goal. My biggest goal when I started this process was to get my body back into a stage where I could actually go and do triathlons. So what actually happened last Sunday? There we go. I did my first Olympic triathlon. So that's where the screen is. So 797. That's going to be my new number that that I'll always remember. So for people who aren't into triathlons, I've been doing a lot of swimming, lots of running, lots of riding, and the race that I did was 1.5 kilometer swim. Sorry, 1.5 kilometer swim, 40 kilometer ride, and 10 kilometer run. Now, most of this update this week is going to be around the triathlon and the pre and the post, the pre and the race and the post and all that kind of stuff. So please keep it. Please stay on track. Stay with me this week, guys. The race was on the Sunday, and I've actually been doing a lot of reading, a lot of using audiobooks, reading on the Kindle, reading all sorts of things, and also watching a lot of YouTube clips more on preparing myself for triathlons and how to your training, your nutrition, and all that kind of stuff. But the race went last Sunday was absolutely beautiful kind of day. I think it was early. It was late 28, 29 kind of day. Really great kind of day. The class that I was in is been the Clydesdale class, which is for the guys that are over 95 kilos. So with triathlons, one of the greatest things I've always loved about triathlons, and I did some triathlons about 10 years ago, and then when I did have a whole lot of a weight loss, and then over time I started putting that weight back on, and then never really did any triathlons other than a couple of odd ones over the years, but I hadn't done one for about 7 or 8 years. And then I did a sprint event, which was a short event earlier this year, and you can go back to my January video and I'll talk about that. But this race that I was doing was always going to be the race that I'd never got to an Olympic distance, and I actually never really expected to actually be able to get to an Olympic distance. When the season started, probably in about October, November last year, I was still at that stage. I was still recovering from surgery. I was still really just starting to get back into some running and some swimming and some riding, so I wasn't really ready to commit myself to a race. Then started watching a lot of finding. One of the things that I've always been trying to find people who'd had a VSG and also doing triathlons and their YouTube clips. And I found Al's Journey to Fitness, which is for people who haven't found Al's videos. She's fantastic in seeing what she's done. So I actually spent message. I've connected in with her, and also finding a couple of other people around who have actually done some triathlons in the past. But they're the kind of other people that have actually inspired me to actually go, yeah, cool. I don't want to just do a couple of sprint events. I want to start looking at some Olympic triathlons and longer term aimed at some other races from there. But getting back to the race on Sunday was, I was in the 95. I was always in that Clydesdale class, and I always aimed, because what they do in triathlons is they have all age groups. So there's lots of kind of 20 to 24, and then 25 to 39, 29, and all the way up. And then they have a Clydesdale classes, which are for the people for guys who are over 90 kilos, and then I think there's a girls class which is for people that are over 70 kilos. Because most triathletes, if you see, are quite light and lean. So it's for someone who, even though I think a lot of people would see 95 kilos as quite a good weight for someone, for a triathlete that's quite a heavy weight. So so I was racing in the Clydesdales. Anyway, learned a whole lot on the day. So the swim was a 1.5 kilometre swim, but because I'm still trying to work out my open water swim, and that's probably something that I want to work on over further. When I actually tracked my distance, I actually had done about 1.9 kilos on the day. So I was swimming all over the place. Like if you have a look at my Garmin watch tracker, it was like over here and then over here and over here and all this kind of stuff. So it's extra 400 metres on the day. Did a 40 kilometre ride, and one of the things I was aiming to, my original aim for the whole race was to do it under 3.5 hours. So swim, I don't think I took 35 minutes. My ride was always, I was really trying to aim to be doing more than 30 kilometres. I aim to be at a pace of over 30 kilometres. So I thought if I did that kind of over 30 kilometres, that would put me in doing the 40 kilometres in about an hour and 20 minutes. Anyway, I actually did really well and smashed that time. So one of the things I did learn was, I think because I've done a lot of cycling when I was growing up, I'm actually quite good at taking turns. So a lot of the turns when you talk in the race, I was actually, I'm probably a little bit more confident in taking those turns, and probably a little bit more, I can take those pretty quick. So I was actually picking up a lot of people going around those turns. And then the 10k run. So this is probably where it got really, really hard and really sore. So the 10k run, it was a two laps of a 5k route. And on the same day, they actually had a number of races going on, and there was a sprint event, which was 500 swim, 20k ride, and a 5k run. So they would just do one course of the 5k route. And it was really interesting because the guys who were doing the course, and they were wearing the Olympic tags. So these ones were the guys who were doing the Olympic race, so they're doing the 2 laps, and the guys who weren't wearing the tags, they were actually doing the sprint race. But as we were running, there's always lots of cheering going on in triathlons. There's always a lot of encouragement going on out there, and there was a lot of, especially in that first lap, there was a lot of people going, "Come on, you're nearly home." And when we were at the 3, maybe 4 kilometre route, which was actually getting quite frustrating because you just go, "I'm not nearly home. I've actually got another lap." So you loop round, and you just about get to the chute of the finishing line. And you had another lap, you just veered off to the left instead of going veer off to the right, and then off you go, you're back out again. So, but it was, nutrition-wise, is probably the big thing that I found difficult in the sense of the triathlons, because you've got to, and I've actually been doing a lot of research in there and trying to work out what I should be taking in, what food I should be taking in, and how adjusting those kind of things. So even in the sense of pre-race, I had a meal about 4 hours beforehand, and trying to get enough food in me to be able to keep me going through the whole race. Took some gels and took some things like that. So, but in the run, I'd actually each kilometre I had a drink station out there, so you could actually get some water or some Gatorade and things like that. And I'd actually said to myself, because I'd had some sports drinks on the bike. And I actually had said to myself, look, I'm just going to stay with water for most of the race, most of the run, until about the 8 kilometre mark. When I can get to the 8 kilometre mark, then I will get some Gatorade to actually put some liquids back into me, and just to get me over that last 2 kilometres. So I was getting around and every drink spot, every drinks table you'd go up to, they'd go, oh, water or Gatorade, and I'd just say some water and I'd probably take 2 cups of water, throw one over my head, and the other one I'd just sip on as I was running for the next kilometre, and then just by the time I'd get to near the next table for the next kilometre, I'd probably finish the water off or throw the rest of it over myself and then just get another 2 cups. So I was doing that gradually all the way through. I got through to the 8K, and I'm going, I'll reward myself with some Gatorade just to keep myself going and getting through. I was also conscious that I'd been having a number of gels. So I had 2 gels on the ride, and I had 1 or 2 gels in the run. I can't remember if I had 2 or 1. And I'd also had a couple of gels pre-race. So, and the gels, you need to be putting a lot of water in there just to dissolve the gels and things like that. So that's why I was conscious. I just wanted to take a lot of water in at that stage. I got to about the 8K mark, and thought, right, I'll grab some Gatorade. I had 1 sip of the Gatorade and go, no, I just can't do it. My stomach just wasn't settling well in my stomach. So I thought, no, I won't. So I just went back to the water and then finished it off. So it was really interesting because with my run, I'm pretty good at keeping a pretty consistent pace. So I was running, and in some ways I probably can push myself a little bit harder in the run. But I got the last couple of races, the 2 races I've done this season, and even when I was doing races 10 years ago, I always got to the last kilometre or so, and I could actually, my quickest kilometre is always that last kilometre. So I've always got a little bit more just to keep myself going. And I got to, after I'd had the Gatorade, there was a guy that was in front of me for most of the run. So he was, I think I saw him at about the 3K mark, and I was slowly getting it back to him at the 5K mark, and then he walked through the drinks table at the 5K mark, and I just kept running as I ran all the way through the race. And then as we got back to about the 6 or the 7K mark, he overtook me, and he really veered off. He veered it into about 150 metres in front of me. But in that last 2Ks, I could see him out there. I thought, look, let's just push how I want. And over the next 1,500 metres, I really ended up being pretty much on his backside. And one of the biggest things about triathlons that I enjoy most is running down that final chute where you've got the barriers on both sides, you've got people on each side, you've got everyone's cheering you home, and they always have photographers at the front, at the finishing line and all that kind of stuff. And I was just about to overtake him, and I thought, well, no, I'm not going to overtake him. I'll just drop back. I'll let him finish off so he can get a photo of crossing the line by himself, and I'll get a photo of about 30 seconds behind him, and I can get a photo by myself also. So I let him go. So I had a little bit more energy in there than I probably expected, and literally got to the finishing line, ran across the finishing line, just about collapsed after the finishing line, but that was great. That was all right. Anyway, I packed up, get all my stuff, and we also had my boys who go to primary school, they had their big sports day for the day. So I had pretty much had to get straight into the car, get to the sports day, and we had activities for the rest of the day. So my digestion after the race was probably not great, in the sense of we had a couple of coffees. They had a big barbecue at the sports day, and I pretty much walked straight in and ordered 2 sausages, and just absolutely shoveled one of them down, and then got halfway through the second one, and I felt really, really ill. So I just thought, no, okay, I pulled back, and it was probably the same sort of ill that I felt very early in the piece after having surgery, when you've eaten too much and you've eaten too quickly. So that's one of the things that I really learnt from the race, that even though you look at the book, you look at all the research and saying, what you should be taking on as a triathlete and how you prepare, you've still got to go back to those VSG fundamentals of what you learnt when you were straight over surgery, where you having small bites, eating slowly. You've got to do that. So and it's just it was a reinforcement because I hadn't had any issues with my stomach for quite a number of months, but it was just a reinforcement. Oh, hang on, I've got to remember, I've got to always have that at my back of my mind, when I'm eating and things like that. So that was fine. Pull up Monday. I also I'll go back a step when we're talking about my weight. It's really interesting in the sense, and I've always said this for a number of weeks, that my weight goal means nothing to me now. It's actually more got to do with what I can complete. And it was really interesting over the race. I raced, my final time was about 3 hours 15, so I smashed all kind of expectations of what I wanted to do and all that kind of stuff. But I also dropped 3 kilos. So I went from about 99 kilos on Saturday to the next day being 96.8. And when I looked at the scales on this Monday morning, I saw 96.8. My weigh-in day is always Mondays. So, but I looked at that and I'm going, that's not realistic. I'm not going to be able to stay at that because I just lost so much weight on that day. Over the last couple of days, I've put some of that back on, so that's fine. That's not. I'm not that concerned. But how I pulled up on Monday, pulled up really sore. So to be blunt, I pulled up really sore. I read in in one of my triathlon books about the idea of when you have a big training session of wearing and you've got to go to work the next day, of actually wearing your compressing tights underneath your work clothes. So on Monday morning when I went to work, I had my compression tights underneath my pants at work, and so I went to work inside with my compression pants on. So I was still pretty sore all day, but I was still on quite a big high. The other thing that I read about was don't always, that first day after you've done a big training session or a big race or things like that, make sure you do something, because even if it's just really an easy. So I ended up going for a swim at lunchtime on the Monday. The main reason you want to do that is because your body's still recovering from that training session and your muscles are probably sitting in places where it shouldn't be. But if you can go out and just do a little small, easy kind of session, not doing anything too strenuous, but just getting that, then your muscles are actually remembering, oh, that's where that's where I should be located, and that's where I'm getting back into the spot and things like that. I took that advice and went for that small swim. So it was only swam a kilometre and a really easy pace. I didn't push myself, didn't try and do anything. Swam a straight kilometre, and it was a really good thing to do, really great thing. So, but that afternoon when I went back to work, I was feeling a lot better, and I actually ended up having a late night at work, so it did really well. Monday night, by the time I got home from work that day, I was absolutely shot. And the other thing that I was struggling a little bit, and it's been something I struggled with on the Monday and the Tuesday, has been food. So my stomach has still really been trying to recover from it all. By Tuesday, my body was sore, but it wasn't. It was just like I'd done a big session on the weekend, so a reasonably big session a couple of days out. Where Monday was, I could hardly move on Monday morning when I went to work. But by Tuesday, I was feeling a lot better and things like that. To the extent that I was I have tennis on Tuesday night, and I was trying to get out of tennis, but I couldn't get out because we were short on players. So I ended up playing. Had some stomach issues at tennis. I didn't vomit, but I just felt like I was just really kind of exhausted stomach-wise, and I was feeling quite ill in the stomach. So just ended up having a bit more sports drinks and things like that, and got myself through there. But then today I've been feeling really great, really good, really back into it. Haven't really done a lot today. I didn't do a session today, but I've just taken the day off. But I'm going to get back into probably some easy running tomorrow and some maybe easy swimming tomorrow. So that's where I go. The next question is what's next. So at this stage, I'm not sure what's next. The race on Sunday was pretty much the last of a series that happens over the summer period. There's another big race that's happening in Melbourne in 2 weeks' time, but that's half Ironman distance, so that's further. That's a lot further than what I did on Sunday. So the swim's only an extra 300 metres, more than what I was meant to do on Saturday, but even though what I actually did. So the ride's is a 90-kilometre ride, and the run's a half marathon, so a 21-kilometre run. Now that's a race that I really like to do. That distance kind of race I'd like to do at some stage. I'm not sure if next season's going to be the race I aim for. There's a big race that happens in Shepparton, which is a country town of Victoria, about 2.5 hours out of Melbourne, and there's quite a big amount of people from the club that I'm involved in, the Nunawading Tri Club, who also go up there each year. So I'm hoping I might be able to get up there and do that triathlon, but I'm not sure if I'll be ready for it this year or if I'll aim for it the following year and really just want to concentrate on my sprint and my Olympic distance races next season. But what I'm actually going to do over the off season is probably concentrating on doing a lot more swimming stuff and a lot more running stuff. So, and there's a lot of big runs that happen over the winter time around Melbourne. So there's a big run that's happening in 2 weeks, the Run for the Kids, which I'd like to do the Run for the Kids again. I did that about 10 years ago, and it's a really spectacular course in Melbourne where it actually, you end up going around through the botanical gardens, then you cut through in a tunnel, and then you come out over a bridge and you see over Melbourne and things like that. And it's just probably one of the most spectacular runs you can do around Melbourne. I'm probably not going to do that. I won't be doing that race this year. I just think I need a little bit more time to recover. I probably could get myself through that race, I reckon, but I just need to concentrate on those kind of things. But who knows? I might change my mind in the next couple of days. And the other thing, but there's a couple of bigger races that happen later in the year. There's the Melbourne Marathon, so I might try and aim for the half marathon later in the year. And there's a couple of other runs that I might try and do, leading towards triathlons again, starting in about October, November this year. So, not really sure what I'll be going, what my next race will be, but I think concentrating on my swimming, concentrating on my running are the two things that I can do over the winter pretty easily. So we'll see where that goes. So one final thing I just wanted to say, I haven't been watching a lot of weight loss videos lately, just because I've just been so focused on the triathlons. But I do keep going back to them semi-regularly, but I just haven't been watching as many as I have been. But I've been watching a lot of triathlon YouTube videos, and if there's anyone who's interested in some of those, there's a Canadian guy that I've found who Triathlon Taryn, who I'll put a link down here for Triathlon Taryn's website, because his YouTube channel, he's amazing. He's doing video. He works in social media, but he does videos every day, and there's a lot of tips. He talks about each of the training, what he's doing. He's a really funny guy, and So if you're wanting to get into triathlons or thinking about it, well, first things first, I'll answer your questions that I can help, or hopefully, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I've learned a little bit of things. And also learned a little bit of things in the sense of trying to do triathlons after having surgery. So I think there is a real niche of that kind of stuff that you've got to have a really good understanding of your body after you've had surgery, and keep conscious of that when you're actually pushing yourself for so long over longer distance and time. But if you're wanting a bit more of a kind of tips on training drills or those kind of things, I'm always watching Taryn's videos, and he's a really funny guy. So anyway, that's about it, guys. If you have got to this point, you've got all the way through my video, well done. It's been a long video tonight, but looking forward to chatting to people further and watching some more videos. And look, I hope you're all doing well, and look forward to it. See you soon, guys, and see you next week. Bye.